everyone! Welcome back to Adobe Live here on Behance. My name is Voodoo Val, and I'm here again to teach one of our last DCCs for this 2-week segment. We've got until Friday until someone else will be taking over. Sad to have to leave soon, but also we've really been having a blast with these challenges. These Photoshop challenges have all been themed after the science fiction theme, so we've been doing like some pretty cool space stuff, making nebulas and designing space explorers and making space badges and all sorts of awesome stuff. I'm so excited to see how many people are joining me this morning. I see Sean and Carrie, Sam, Claire, Rasim, Valentine, Ralph, Mark. It's so good to see you. Nuruddin, welcome back. My mic is on. It should be on. Yes. Are we having a technical difficulty again? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in chat, folks, because mine says, yep, you can hear fine? Okay, cool. All right. I was like, oh no, not again, please. Because that does happen sometimes. There are technical difficulties early in the morning when you are trying to do a broadcast. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Okay, so we are going to jump into what I have planned for the challenge today, and I want to make sure I get into it pretty quickly here because it's kind of a, I won't say it's a hefty challenge, but it's an intricate challenge. We're going to be jumping into the 3D tools today to create some 3D objects that we can then use to illustrate spaceships, which I think is super cool because we've made our space explorers, we've done, you know, the badges and everything, as I said, but now our space explorer needs a space vehicle to travel in. So we're going to be working on that. If you have not done these daily creative challenges before, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process of how you can get involved with me and participate in the challenges. If you're over on YouTube today, please head over to behance.net/live because that is where I am reading the chat. That's where everyone's hanging out. It is also where you've got to be if you want a chance to win some pretty cool prizes today. So definitely head over there. And then if you take a look at the landing page, which is behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, you will come to this right here. And this basically just lets you know that you're here. You're at the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge page. You get a little step 1 through 4 of how this works, how you can get involved on Behance, in the Discord, how you can participate in the challenges, details on how to submit your challenges and so on. And then every day at about 8 a.m. Pacific time, we actually have one of our challenges revealed to you. So they're all locked until the day that we actually do these. So you see we're doing one today, and then we've got just 2 more ending on the lovely day of love, February 14th, and then someone else will be coming in to teach you guys. But we have done turning yourself into a space explorer, making that badge, applying patterns to space equipment, space armor, and space badges, making a robot sidekick, designing a space nebula, using that nebula in a composite to create a space scene. And now today, as I said, the description says, create a spaceship using the 3D workspace in Photoshop. Use the brushes and textures to add unique details. So I'm going to jump into it because I want to make sure we cover everything. Now, I'm gonna just page this down real quick. The starter file that I have for you folks, actually, if I can, I'll actually pull this up one more time. If you hit that Get Started button, that is where you can get this file, because I wanted to make sure I gave you guys sort of a starting place. So if you want to use the file that I'm using today, all you have to do is hit that button. It'll take you to Dropbox, and you can download the file and work along with me. Now there's so much that can be done in Photoshop in the 3D workspace, and we have limited time today, so I cannot cover them all. I'm going to be doing something very small, very basic in the 3D workspace that will basically just give you guys a starting point, create objects in 3D with 3D lighting and things that kind of add a little bit of pizzazz to your illustrations or to your icons and your projects while you are working in Photoshop. Nice to see you back here. Nice to see you back here, Alberto. Thanks for joining in. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating some shapes, or you folks can actually take a shape that I have supplied you with here. And we're going to extrude this shape. We're going to apply a different matte cap to it, a different material to it. And then we're going to create a smart object image out of that file. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. You can like render it out and do all kinds of stuff, create things, prep stuff for 3D print and whatnot in Photoshop, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to stay in our file and create 2D work with 3D tools, if that makes sense. Without further ado, I'm going to say you guys can kind of look through these three files that I have here for you. If you don't like these files, that's okay. I'm actually going to start from scratch making my own shape today, just to show you guys how I do that. So you don't have to use the starter file if you don't want to. If you want to create your own super cool thing, that's totally fine. I'm going to jump over here into this folder, or into this file though, because this is where I have like all of my tests where I've sort of created some interesting ships while I was preparing for this challenge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit P on my keyboard because I'm going to grab the pen tool, and I'm going to drag, or I'm going to click, make a point. I'm going to hold shift so that my next point is a straight shot just below this. I'm going to click, I'm going to keep holding shift, and I'm going to click out here to the side to make sure that that is straight. Then I'm going to release shift, and I am going to click out here just to give this kind of a round shape. And then I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to drag, and I'm going to make this kind of weird little shape just like that. I'm going to make sure that I turn my stroke off, which is very important. And I'm going to turn my fill to a gray color, and then I've created a shape. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, while I have this shape sort of defined here, is I'm just going to come up to my 3D panel. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to say new extrusion from selected path. If you don't create your shape that you're going to work with like the pen tool, maybe you make something with the brush tool or whatever, you could also say new 3D extrusion from selected layer, as long as you have what you need on that layer. That's also cool, but I have a path created, so I'm going to say from selected path. And that is going to open us up into the 3D space. Now if I turn this around and spin this around, you can see that it was once just that flat shape, and it's actually a 3D extrusion. The problem with this is it's not quite what I want for the project I'm going for today. I would like for the shape to be a little more rounded, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to achieve that look. And this is kind of an interesting thing, because I know some of you have asked in the chat previously, can I make 3D models in Photoshop? Can I model 3D models? And a lot of people say, well, you know, you can bring objects into Photoshop, and you can edit those objects in Photoshop, but this is kind of an interesting way to actually create a 3D object, a 3D thing within Photoshop from scratch. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make sure that I have my object selected. That's going to be something you got to make sure you keep track of while we're doing this challenge, because sometimes it's very easy to be selected outside of things in the 3D space. So make sure that when you're editing your object, you are selected onto your object. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come to my properties panel. If you don't have a properties panel in your workflow, all you have to do is go to Window, scroll down, and hit Properties, and it will open up for you. I'm going to go to Properties here, and I'm going to turn this extrusion depth to 0. I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to hit 0 on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit Enter. So basically what that makes is it's not a 3D extrusion really anymore. It's just that one plane that I began with at first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to round this out. So I am, with that still selected, I'm going to come over to the deform page. It's just that second icon there in the properties panel when you are selected onto your object there. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to make sure that I'm selected on here, and I'm going to make sure I hit that deform axis there. You know what? Actually, I believe that I've clicked something wrong. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna come back and turn this down real quick. I'm gonna start back from here. because I made a little boo-boo there. Okay, I'm gonna turn that down to 0 and hit enter so that I've got my plane. And then without clicking anything I don't need to click, I'm going to come over here to the deform axis, and I'm going to make sure that I hit on this deform axis. I'm going to make sure that I hit the right middle area on there, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to say I'm going to scrub up on this horizontal angle here. And basically what that did was it just wrapped that around. See that? How it created? And now it's like a little almost a donut that's kind of made out of that plane, but it's made this interesting 3D shape. And with that selected, I can come in and change the materials. If I select, after I've done that, if I select my object, I can come into the materials here, and I can apply different materials to it, whatever you want. There are ways you can get different materials and things in here, but I just want to highlight how to do that so you can change the look and feel of your model or whatever it is that you choose. And you can either render this out or you can just convert it to a smart object. If you come back to your layers and then you right click and you can say convert to smart object. And basically what you have here is you have a transparent object that is just like a screenshot. You can't turn this around anymore because it is a smart object. It's not in the 3D space anymore, but you have that, and you can actually, if I make a layer underneath that and grab a brush, I'll grab like a red or a pink color, you can see that there is a transparency. You can even turn when you're doing this, you can even turn the shadows on and off so that you don't have those shadows if you don't want to have it rendered out with a shadow. But I kind of like to do that because I don't really need to render out a 3D object for this project. That is just how I achieve kind of a 3D look to get an object that I need for this particular day. So what I'm going to do is I have actually made another object that I prefer the shape of a little better. I just wanted to walk you through how you can go from shape to rounded 3D object. But I am going to, real quick, I'm going to drag in this other shape that I kind of like the shape of a little better, that I have created in the exact way that I just created that for you. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn this into a spaceship, because I like this one. It's a little pointier, and I've got the gray matte cap on it. You know, I kind of like that a little bit better. You folks can choose whatever kind of object that you want to do, and this is how I'm going to do this. So I've got, obviously it's kind of rendered in like a 3D space. It's got some depth to it. It's got some shading to it. I made sure to turn the shadows off for this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to image. I'm going to go to adjustments, and I'm actually going to apply a gradient map to this. And I am going to, I kind of want to do like a red and blue. So I'm just going to, I suppose I should walk you through how I did that. When I hit gradient map, it shows me colors there, and you can click this little drop down menu and select some from here. But if you want to make your own custom gradient map, all you have to do is click the color, and it will open up this panel where you can come in and double click and change things around. So I'm going to grab like a dark blue color, like a saturated dark blue. And I'm going to say okay, and then up here I am going to grab a really saturated red color because I just love the way that that looks. I think that is so cool. I'm going to say okay, and you can scrub this little point back and forth here just to kind of add depth to this. If I scrub that up like that, maybe I can pull this one back. Oops. Pull this one back a little bit. There we go. I like that. That's cool. So it has like some blue around the edges, you know, some soft blue shading, and then it's also got like that red highlight. And I'm gonna say, okay, I really like this. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab my brush. You could also do this with an ellipse tool. If you come over here to your shapes, you could grab the ellipse tool for this. You could also grab the, let's see, maybe the elliptical marquee tool to do this. I'm just gonna do it with a brush because that's what I'm most comfortable with. You feel free to use whatever tools you want for this step. I'm gonna zoom in here. I'm gonna make a new layer with Control-Shift-In. I am going to hit B on my keyboard to select my brush. I'm going to right click on my canvas just to select a brush. That's how you open your brushes menu, just to make sure I'm selected on a hard round pressure brush, which is something that's default in Photoshop. I'm going to select this blue color, this purpley blue color. I'm going to make sure it's dark, and I'm going to come over here and I am going to, with my, making sure that my opacity and my flow is up 100% on this brush, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to click like this, and then I'm going to make my brush smaller and I'm going to click right here. Essentially what these are going to be are little windows for my spaceship. Now, underneath the windows and the spaceship shape, I am going to create a new layer, Control Shift in, and I am going to grab my pen tool. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit, and I'm going to create some little wings for my ship. I am going to click, I'm going to click over here and drag to make kind of a rounded look there. I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to grab this arm and position it differently, so that, because if I were to click over here like I want to, because that arm is drug out there so much, it doesn't really give me the shape that I want. But if you hold Alt, you can actually edit the directional arms of a point that you have placed. So I'm going to move this out here. I'm going to hold Shift even to make it straight. I'm going to click again, and then I'm going to click out here and drag again, like so. I'm going to move this directional arm here. I'm going to hold Shift to make sure it's straight up and down. And then I'm going to click to round that shape out. I'm going to make sure I turn this stroke off. And then on the fill, I'm going to select that blue color that I like so much. And then I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to say Control J, Control T to transform that copied version. I'm going to right click my transformed item here, and I'm going to say flip horizontal, and I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to drag it out so that it stays adhering to the level of the other item, but it's like a perfect mirror, and I'm going to say enter. Then I'm going to group these two together by I'm clicking one, holding Shift and clicking the other, and then I'm going to say Control G to group. And then I'm going to just transform this. I'm going to turn this to the side, and I'm going to put this under here. You guys see where I'm going with this now? Somebody, like, I assume that because it's such a strange shape, people might not understand exactly what kind of spaceship I was trying to make. But hopefully you guys are seeing the kind of classic spaceship shape here now. I've got my little fins, or my little spaceship legs. I don't know. I don't think they're legs. I don't think spaceships has legs. Maybe your spaceships have legs. I'm not sure. But I've got those in there. And then on top of all of that, I'm going to make a new layer again, Control Shift in. And I'm going to grab my line tool here. You can press U on the keyboard if you prefer. And I am going to make this line thick. I'm gonna make it like 60 pixels, and I am just going to click and drag outward, just to give us kind of like one of those fins in perspective, if that makes sense. I'm gonna turn that stroke off, and I'm gonna fill it with that blue to give it that look, and then I'm gonna hold Shift and I'm gonna group all of these items together, and we have a little spaceship. How do we get inside? I don't know. Maybe you teleport? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I didn't think that through, really. But so that's how I made a little spaceship using the 3D tools, and it's pretty easy. Obviously, it's not super in depth, and there's so much more that you can do with the 3D tools. But I wanted to do a tutorial like this just to get you folks maybe involved in using the tools and exploring those tools, kind of like a gateway to 3D capabilities in Photoshop. I also wanted to show some of the other one of the other designs that I did, because I started rendering things out. If you don't want yours to be rounded, you don't have to round it out. So I'm gonna put that over here, and I'm gonna show you another image that I did while I was preparing for this. I also just extruded an image like this. You remember when we extruded at the very beginning? So for this one, I didn't take the I didn't take it and flatten it and then round it. I just used the extrusion of that one shape that is in our starter file, this one here, and I just made this little shape and I turned it so that it looked like a spaceship to me, and then I actually sketched on it, and I believe I have one of those here. That's kind of like one of my first iterations. Yeah, so, and it's not perfectly clean, but you can see I just, like, I took a brush tool and then I just started drawing on it, you know, and it's not 100%, it's not great, but you can see how you folks can maybe get an idea of how you can use a 3D shape and then paint on it, or use the pen tool to add some components to it, or whatever you want. Just kind of get your creative juices flowing, you know, and going on the possibilities of spaceships for today. So I am going to actually save this, or I have one saved, so I'll say, 'cause sometimes I don't like to save while I'm on the broadcast since we have limited time. I don't want to wait for it to save if it's a large file. So I'm going to upload one of my previous ones that I did just so I can show you folks how to upload to the Discord. So if you head over to bit.ly/PS Discord, making sure that P and that S are capitalized, it will bring you to our Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge Discord. And you can post, let me see, I'm gonna actually pop myself over here. Ta-da! You can scroll down in the Photoshop Discord to the current challenge page, hit that plus button in the text region, and it should, or you can drag and drop. If you hit the plus button, it'll pull up your folder where you can navigate to your file, or you can drag your file in here. I'm gonna say, here is my ship, because you should probably spell ship properly. Here is my ship, and I'm gonna say upload. Darkwing Duck vehicle. Oh yeah. It is the cat song, indeed. So there's like a little ship that I made. I will also throw in the other image that I made. I'll save it off of stream and then post that as well. And I'll post some of the other examples too, so that you folks have like a little frame of reference. But look at all the wonderful things everyone has been created. Lynn is really killing it here with this whole like spacescape and space station thing she's got going on. Valentine Pierce, this is awesome. This is really cool. I don't know if you composited this or if that's a real thing, but whatever it is, it looks epic. Let's see, we've got Amma J in here with her or his nebula from the past few days, and all the composited elements. This is super awesome. I'm loving these colors. More nebula from Kokon FX, I believe. I hope I didn't butcher that. We created nebulas from scratch the other day, which is really fun. So this is his, and this looks awesome. It's very soft and subtle. I'm loving it. But you guys have done such an incredible job. Look at all these awesome spacescapes and robot sidekicks, and look at these, they're so good. Everyone has been doing such a wonderful job. I cannot wait to see now, after seeing all of your awesome nebulas. Like, this is amazing. Who is this from? This is so good. Camilla Luna, congratulations on this awesome piece. This is great. But everyone's been doing such a wonderful job and has really been getting into these science fiction themed challenges. I cannot wait to see what your ships look like. I can't wait to see what colors you choose. I can't wait to see how you actually go about creating those. They're going to be so much fun. I just know it. I think what I will also do is I will attach, in fact, I think I'll do this right now. Before I take my leave, folks, I'm going to scrub down here, and I am actually going to leave you with this 3D shape. I'm going to give you this just in case you want to edit the shape that I created as well. So I'm going to say upload, and then I'm also going to pin that to the Discord for you by going like this. I'm going to say pin message. Oh yeah, pin it. And if you're ever wondering where some of the pinned messages are, the important announcements that may be in any particular channel, you can always click pinned messages, and it will it will show you all of the, I guess I kind of use the pinned messages more than anyone else when I share stuff with you. But you guys can check out the pinned messages and it'll be there so you don't have to scrub through hundreds of posts and find it. But I can't wait to see what you guys make. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow with some more awesome stuff. Blenda, excellent work for day 5 that just came in. Well done. I appreciate you folks learning along with me today. Definitely stay tuned because we've got a day jam-packed with awesome design coming up after me, so don't go anywhere, and I will see you folks next time. Adios, everyone.